Good morning, OCSL. Please feel free to sing along with the opening congregational song. Said the night wind to the little land, do you see what I see? Way up in the sky, little land, do you see what I see? A star, dancing in the night with a tail as big as a kite, with a tail as big as a kite. Said the little lamb to the shepherd boy, do you hear what I hear? Ringing through the sky, shepherd boy, do you hear what I hear? A song, high above the trees, with a voice as big as the sea, with a voice as big as the sea. Said the shepherd boy to the mighty king, do you know what I know? In your palace wall, mighty king, do you know what I know? A child shivers in the cold. Let us bring him silver and gold. Let us bring him silver and gold. Said the king to the people everywhere, listen to what I say. Pray for peace, people everywhere. Listen to what I say. A child, sleeping in the night, he will bring us goodness and light. He will bring us goodness and light. A child, sleeping in the night, he will bring us goodness and light. He will bring us goodness and light.
Good morning. It's great to see you all here in this mystical winter wonderland. I'm Robert Leeds. I use he, him pronouns, and speaking of wonder, I'd like to thank our wonderful musicians, the fierce Deb Santa Maria and the awesome Terry Stanley. And let's give some love to our entire AV team and our sound engineer, Levi Griffin. Welcome to the Oakland Center for Spiritual Living, where we teach spiritual principles and practices that nourish us, create community, and celebrate our oneness with all of life. A special welcome to those of you who are joining us for the very first time. We're so glad that you're here in the sanctuary with us. If you are here for the first time, if you wouldn't mind raising your hand and keeping it up, somebody will bring you a welcome packet. We got a few. Welcome. Also, a big welcome to those of you joining us via YouTube Live and Facebook Live. Make sure to sign up for our weekly newsletter so you can learn about all the great things we have to offer here at the Oakland Center. We respectfully acknowledge that here in the Bay Area, we gather on the traditional land of the indigenous Ohlone people. We honor with gratitude the land itself and the people who have stewarded these lands for countless generations. Now let's take a moment to bless our children everywhere that they are, some of them over in the education building. We bless all the children in our community and the world. We love you, we see you, we know the truth of who you are. You are unique expressions of God, and we are grateful to have you in our lives, and so it is. On Wednesday, December 25th, our midweek oasis will not happen because Santa will be visiting the island of misfit toys. We are wrapping up our 2024 daily community spiritual practice using the Abundance Book, the 40-Day Prosperity Plan by John Randolph Price. Today we are on the 37th day of the program using the 7th affirmation in the book. Follow along each day in the order that the affirmations appear. The program ends on Christmas Day, perfect timing. We're gearing up now for a new daily inspirations for 2025, and we'll be using the 365 Science of Mind by Ernest Holmes and the 365 Inspiration Daily Guides to Grateful Living, Volume 2 by Deborah Perdue. So please join us for that. And join us Tuesday, December 24th for our annual Christmas Eve candlelight service. That's at 7 p.m. In this hour-long service, we will enjoy Christmas reflections, light candles, and sing Christmas carols. Bring your family and friends for this special program. 1 week from today, on December 29th, we celebrate Kwanzaa and our New Year's burning bowl ceremony during Sunday service. Join us for this powerful ritual to release what is no longer serving you into a fire to make room for the new experiences and opportunities. The 5-session Women's Spiritual Empowerment Group has a final gathering this next week, Sunday the 29th, after service at 12:30 p.m. Support Oakland Center for Spiritual Living's 2025 annual pledge, Rising Higher, Growing Deeper. Thanks to your ongoing support, Oakland Center for Spiritual Living continues to thrive. Reverend Jerry will give us more information on the campaign during the Conscious Giving part of the service. We are starting an OCSL Buddy Love program. The program is intended to randomly partner people in the community into pairs for the purpose of connection, community bonding, spiritual practice, and support. You can visit oaklandcsl/events to register. Our nonprofit partner for December is Habitat for Humanity East Bay, Silicon Valley. They believe in a world where everyone has a decent place to call home, and within that home, a family can find strength, stability, and independence that they need to build a better life. Visit habitateebsv.org for more information. The 2025 application for the Board of Trustees is now being accepted. Please help us fill 4 open positions on the board. The deadline for submitting your application is Sunday, January 5th. Please visit our website, oaklandcsl.org, select About Us, and scroll down to the Board of Trustees to download the application. I can see you all doing it right now on your phones. The Spirit Treasure Bookstore celebrates the holidays with 30% off on all books, including children, and card boxes, not children. And the children they're priceless. And card boxes, and there are gifts for under $10. Visit the 30% off holiday table. Visit csl.org to see what's happening within our Centers for Spiritual Living global organization, including the virtual convention in March and the SOAR retreat in August of next year in beautiful Banff, Alberta, Canada. I'm going. Please visit our website at oaklandcsl.org and sign up for our weekly newsletter, The Village News. Remember to follow us on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, all those social media platforms. Please like us and subscribe to Oakland Center today. And now, if you are willing and able, please stand and we will do our vision and mission statement. The vision of the Oakland Center for Spiritual Living is to joyfully reveal the love and oneness of God. We are a welcoming and inclusive spiritual community dedicated to individual transformation and collective growth. Our purpose is to love, inspire, and serve our community and the world through education, music, prayer, and play. Have a great week.
Good morning, everyone. Hi, Irene. I'm Reverend Catherine, and my pronouns are she and her, right? I think I've got that right. We have two readings for the day. The first one is from Rabbi Lord Jonathan Sacks. Hanukkah is about the freedom to be true to what we believe without denying the freedom of those who believe otherwise. It's about lighting our candle while not being threatened by or threatening anyone else's candle. Yeah. The second reading is from Gary Zukov. The winter solstice has always been special to me as a barren darkness that gives birth to a verdant future beyond imagination, a time of pain and withdrawal that produces something joyfully inconceivable, like a monarch butterfly masterfully extracting itself from the confines of its cocoon, bursting forth into unexpected glory. Please join me then as we move into the cocoon of prayer. And if you would like, close your eyes and turn within. I take this moment to dive deeply into the vast infinity of myself, because God and I are one, and that is the only thing that matters. What I accept and know this morning as each of us does this, we touch the darkness within and we find the light. Regardless of how dark it may seem as we take that breath, the light emerges. It cannot be stopped. It is there, and it grows, and it illuminates the entire world, the entire universe, and all of my soul. So this morning, as we bask in the emerging light, while we seem to be in the midst of dark, what I claim and know for this service is that it is blessed beyond measure. And we come together to acknowledge that, to appreciate that, to celebrate that, and to lift each other up into that light, into the warmth of love, knowing that this time, this place is holy indeed. And wherever two or more are gathered, whether it be in a church, a sanctuary, a temple, an ashram, a sweat lodge, around a campfire, in a kitchen, over a cup of coffee with a friend, that light that illumines the entire universe and gives light and breath and life to all is joyfully revealing itself. And so this morning I bless our senior minister, Reverend Dr. Sunshine, what an appropriate name, Sunshine Michelle Coleman. So grateful that she has opened her heart and her whole spirit into being a conduit for that word that allows us to see with greater clarity, to love with a deeper force, and to accept each other as ourselves as one. I'm grateful for this time. I'm grateful for this place. I'm grateful for this community. And I give thanks for everyone here today and all of those who are watching from the quiet of their own homes. There is no geographical distance in God. The oneness is here right now. And so it is.
Now is the time like never before to reach out your hand to open the door. And I hope we're strong enough to understand and see it through. And if you believe in me, I'll believe in you. Here in the heart is where it begins, the power to change the world that we live in, and the choices that we make will be there for all to see. I will put my trust in you if you put your trust in me. Open your heart and keep the dream alive. We can move mountains a day at a time if we open our hearts and if we open our minds. We can move mountains together if we try. Don't be afraid to say it out loud. We have a vision, we can be proud, and the love inside will bring to light one simple human truth. The love you give away all comes back to you. Open your heart and keep the dream alive. We can move mountains a day at a time if we open our hearts and if we open our minds. We can move mountains together if we try. We can move mountains. We can move mountains. Nothing's gonna stand in our way. Open your heart and keep the dream alive. We can move mountains a day at a time if we open our hearts and if we open our minds. We can move mountains together if we try. If we try.
Let's give it up for Terry Stanley and the fierce Deb Santa Maria. Don't you like her kicks? She says, see, Rev, I can sparkle too. I'm Reverend Dr. Sunshine Michelle Coleman, the proud spiritual director of the Oakland Center for Spiritual Living. And I say to you, Grand Rising. Grand Rising. And Grand Rising. Yay, we better milk this annual theme for a few more days because we're going to have a different one come pretty soon. Pretty soon. Welcome. It's so good to have you here. We have a special service for you today. And so with that, I'd like to start with a breath. We have to breathe anyway, don't we? Y'all beat me to it. You think you know. But what I'd like for us to do is breathe together. So exhale, please, right where you are. Just let it go. And with intention, bring in the breath, allow it to come, fill your lungs, hold it at the top, and let it out with a sigh. Twice more, let's do that, breathing it in, and a sigh. You two live streamers, once more, bigger breath, and a bigger sigh. We just let it all go. And now simply allow that sacred breath. There's nothing we have to do but allow the sacredness of spirit to enter our body, to beat our hearts, to restore ourselves, to rejuvenate us, and then allow us to let it go and give it back. That's the law of circulation. What a gift that is. So as we breathe together as community this morning, we come to this sacred holy season where we today will enjoy two of those. And I have some friends that are going to come up here. But first, as Robert mentioned, we are finishing up our 40-day prosperity plan, program, whatever you want to call it, with the Abundance book by John Randolph Price. And I counted it up. I made sure. This is a leap year this year. Did you know that? So it's 366 days to this year. And for 360 of those, we have been focusing on abundance and abundance consciousness. So even if you haven't been focused on it, you're getting the vibration of those of us who have, right? And we just have to pay attention and see the abundance around us. And I like for us to invite us to say together the word for the day. But since we're finishing on Christmas on Wednesday, as Robert mentioned, there's a special affirmation that our own Reverend Dr. Margaret Stortz wrote in parallel with the Abundance book, John Randolph Price. And that's the one I want us to recite together. And if you're willing, because you know we're finishing this up, right? So finish it with a bang. Even if you haven't been doing it, we start right now. We live the eternity of right now. If you're willing, you can stand and say this and act as though and declare it as if it is the ultimate truth of your life. Are you willing? Okay. So I know it's long, but that's okay. We're going to get through it together. Here we go. Today, I accept God's gift of abundance. Today, everything I am and have is increased. I identify everything I do with success. I think affirmatively, and with all of my prayers, I accept abundance. Whatever I need, whenever I need it, wherever I need it, for as long as I need it, will always be at hand. I no longer see negation or delay or stagnation in my undertakings. Rather, I claim that the action of the living Spirit prospers everything I do, increases every good I possess, and brings success to me in all those I meet. Everything I think about and do is animated by the divine presence, sustained by the infinite power of God, and multiplied by the divine goodness. And so it is. Yay! Yay! Woohoo! It's exciting. It's exciting. So join us in 2025 when we have 2 daily readers. We're going to be studying 365 Science of Mind by our founder, Ernest Holmes, Dr. Ernest Holmes, and we're going to be studying gratitude. We studied abundance this year. Let's focus on gratitude next year. 365 inspirational daily guides for greater living. Are you willing? Yes, I'm in the right place. Thank you. Praise God for that. All right. So I want to just tell you about the themes for the year, which I've already told you about Grand Rising, and then I'm going to introduce my friends to you. So Centers for Spiritual Living has global themes that we work on. I told you what we've been working on for the year. Let me hear how many of you were listening. The annual theme is what? Yay, you get an A. And for December, anybody know that one? Right, say it again. Sticking the landing. You know, when you jump off and you land solid, whatever you're doing, solid, right? And today we are talking about the incredible light of being. How grand that is. So we're celebrating today. Aren't our altars beautiful? They're just so beautiful. We're talking today about, you can clap. If you're going to do it, do it. Don't have to do it. My mother used to tell me, if you're going to do it right. Don't do it at all, right? Okay, so we're talking about winter solstice today. And we're going to bring up Judith Roberts, who's a practitioner here, and she's also on our education core, and she's also on the lead practitioner team. And followed by her, we're going to talk about Hanukkah today and how you spell Hanukkah. If we had a test, who would pass? I know I'd be the first to be questionable, right? We're going to have our own Robert Leeds, who's the lead of the announcers, and he's on the finance committee of the Board of Trustees, and Amy Shovnick, who is on she helps out in the kitchen and is a dedicated member here. So they're going to come in that order, and then I'll come back and do a little lecturette on the topic. You up for that? Okay, there we go. And I missed that Dr. Judith Frauenglass is with us today and talking about Hanukkah. She's going to participate in the prayers. Is that right? Oh, how beautiful. So let's give them all some love ahead of time. And with that, let's call up Judith Roberts.
So good morning, everyone. So nice to be here, and good morning, live streamers. I'll start by saying that this holly wreath that I'm wearing is real holly from my own holly tree. So I wanted to be a little celebratory. So what is winter solstice, or what is solstice? It literally translates as when the sun stands still. The winter solstice occurs because of the Earth's tilt as it rotates around the sun. When the northern hemisphere tilts away from the sun, the nights last longer. The longest night happens on the solstice because the hemisphere is in its furthest position from the sun. That occurs each year, December 21st or 22nd. Our solstice was yesterday, the 21st. The winter solstice is the shortest day, so it's the shortest day of the year, the longest night of the year, but it's also the moment when the sun begins to grow again. The light begins to return. The light of a brand new year is being lit deep within the darkness. Now, I wanted to mention in the southern hemisphere, it's the reverse. The longest day is on the 21st or the 22nd, and the shortest night, so the seasons are reversed. So they celebrate Christmas during summer, like in Australia, New Zealand. So the solstice has been celebrated around the world for millennia. You probably have heard of some of these, but I'm going to mention some of these cultural observances and celebrations. In New Mexico's Chaco Canyon, ancient people carved spiral petroglyphs that interact with sunlight. On the winter solstice, shadows create precise daggers across the spirals, marking the year's shortest day. And the Hopi have a tradition of solstice that includes dancing, purification, and sometimes gift giving, and a ceremony known as Soyal. In Peru, people honor the return of the sun god, or at least they did in ancient times. In Iranian tradition, they have Yalda night, which is when people gather and it's friends and storytelling and family and special foods. And Shab-i-Yalda literally means night of rebirth. In Africa, the solstice is often observed with harvest celebrations. And then there was an ancient Rome celebration in Rome called Saturnalia, that celebrated the end of the planting season, and it honored Saturn, the god of harvest and farming. And then the Chinese have a celebration. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing it correctly, but it looks like Dongzi, and it celebrates family unity and renewal at the solstice. And in Scandinavia, St. Lucia's Day illuminates dark winter days with processions of light. Young women process through the streets wearing crowns of candles. And then, of course, the ones that we may be most familiar with are Stonehenge and in England, and Newgrange in Ireland. Stonehenge was built some 5,000 years ago and is aligned with the solstice. So yesterday and every solstice, hundreds of people, last year 4,500 people came to Stonehenge to observe the sun rising up through these stones, and 100,000 people watched online. And at Newgrange in Ireland, you may have heard of the Newgrange tomb. It's a round structure that was built 5,200 years ago and is aligned with the winter solstice, so that for 17 minutes, when the sun rises on the solstice, a shaft of light comes down a hallway that's 62 feet long and illuminates a carving in a chamber at the back of the structure. And I've been in that chamber and seen that carving. And it's a half-circle pattern. And it says here, I have some notes here, that the stacked arcs represent the sun's daily path across the winter sky, its gradual return to longer days, the transition from darkness to light, and hope rising from the year's darkest point. The design isn't just decorative, it's a sophisticated symbol combining astronomy, spirituality, and the eternal cycle of light and dark. So, and that structure has not leaked in 5,200 years. So they knew something. They knew what they were doing. So there's, and also winter solstice marks the beginning of winter. So it's the return of the light and the beginning of winter. There's a very special stillness about the season we are entering, even though everything appears dead and frozen, at least in the wintry climates. A new cycle is beginning. It's a new year. You can sense there's magic brewing deep down in the dark, just like the spark of new life that appears deep in a mother's womb. You can sense a quiet spark occurring within. It's a time to rest. It's a time to dream. It's a time to bring in what you're calling in for the new year. The winter is the season when things are revealed by turning deep within yourself, embracing the quiet and the darkness, recognizing that you don't need to do anything for the magic to unfold. This is a season of receiving. So I'm going to close with a poem, which is also a participatory. There's a refrain in it, and I'm going to raise my hand like this for you all to say with me, I am listening. The poem is called Listening to Winter. It was adapted from The Circle of Life by Joyce Rupp and Macrina Whitaker. And so, let's just take a moment, take a breath. The trees have shed their colorful autumn robes. Winter is blowing through the dark, empty branches, and I am listening. I am listening to the roar and to the quiet of winter. I am listening to a beauty that sometimes remains unseen. I am listening. I am listening to the seed hidden in the earth. I am listening to the dark swallowing up the light. I am listening to faith rising out of doubt. I am listening to the need to believe without seeing. I am listening. I am listening to the season of contemplation, to the urgency of our world's need for reflection. I am listening to all that waits within the earth, to bulbs and seeds, to deep roots dreaming. I am listening to the sacred winter rest. I am listening. I am listening to long nights, comforting darkness, fruitful darkness, beautiful darkness. I am listening to the darkness of the winter season. I am listening to the sparks of hope within the darkness. I am listening. I am listening to storms raging out my window, to storms raging in my heart. I am listening to all that makes me pull my cloak a little tighter. I am listening to trust buried deep in the ground of my being. I am listening. I am listening to the kind of permission of the season to rest more often, to reflect more deeply, to pray without words. I am listening to the sacrament of non-doing. I am listening. I am listening to my dreams and inner visions, to the unknown wrapped in the mystery of my life, to tears trapped in underground streams of my being, to seeds watered daily by those tears. I am listening. I am listening to the quiet life in winter's womb. I am listening to winter nurturing spring. I am listening to brilliant winter sunsets and lovely frosty mornings. I am listening to bare trees, so lovely in their emptiness, to one leaf that never did let go. I am listening. I am listening to winter handing over spring. I am listening to the poetry of winter. I am listening.
Hi, everyone. Judith, Amy, Robert. And our founder, Ernest Holmes, developed the science of mind partly by studying the world religions. And so it's very appropriate, I think, that we take, especially this time of year, which is such a rich spiritual time, to acknowledge all these different traditions. So we're going to be talking about Hanukkah. We all come from a Jewish background. And we're going to start with that burning question. We have a quick little video to show you. Sylvia?
Is it with a C or H? I am confused. What about those N's and K's? Do you use one or two? I remember when I was back in elementary school, a Spanish kid told me that it starts with a silent J, but Julio was wrong. Or maybe he was right. Can someone decide? Make up your mind. Chart spell check and Webster's. Is there an answer to my question? Someone please help me. Just tell me, how do you spell Hanukkah?
Okay, you can cut it there. You get the idea. So why is Hanukkah spelt in so many different ways? There's an old saying, 2 rabbis, 3 opinions. And, Jews just like to argue about stuff. So the actual reason, is that it's a Hebrew word, and it's spelt with a different alphabet. And so since there's not a one-to-one correspondence between the Hebrew letters and sounds and the English letters and sounds, then we just do our best to kind of translate it so that it sounds right, which is called a transliteration. So that's the explanation, and people spell it the way they want. So every winter, Jews celebrate the 8-day festival of Hanukkah, one of the best known and certainly one of the most visible Jewish holidays. But for most of Jewish history, Hanukkah was actually a relatively minor holiday, and it still is for Orthodox Jews. It started out as a celebration of a military victory and then evolved into a celebration of a miracle. So how did this start? Even though it is 2,200 years old, Hanukkah is one of Judaism's newest holidays, and it's the only Jewish holiday that is not connected to something in the Hebrew Bible. The historical event that is the basis for Hanukkah is the victory of the Maccabees, who are like a ragtag army of freedom-fighting Jews against the much more powerful army of King Antiochus IV of Syria. In 168 BC, Antiochus outlawed Jewish practice and forced Jews to adopt pagan rituals and assimilate into Greek culture. The Maccabees revolted against this persecution. They captured Jerusalem from Antiochus's control, removed from the Jerusalem temple symbols of pagan worship that Antiochus had introduced, and set about to reconsecrate the temple. The word Hanukkah means dedication, because it celebrates the rededication of the Holy Temple. Now, when they went to light the temple menorah, which was a 7-branched candelabra, they found only a single jar of sacred oil that had escaped contamination by the Greeks. Miraculously, they lit the menorah, and the 1-day supply of oil lasted for 8 days until new oil could be purified for the use. This is a story that all Jewish children are told about Hanukkah. While it originally celebrated a military victory for a variety of historical and sociological reasons, the emphasis shifted from the military victory to the miracle of the oil around the 6th century AD. In either case, the holiday commemorates the overcoming of oppression and the perseverance of the Jewish people. Throughout the medieval period, however, Hanukkah remained a minor Jewish festival, and it's gained more prominence in the past 100 years, partly because of its proximity to Christmas, but also as a symbol of perseverance in the wake of the Holocaust and other forms of anti-Semitic persecution in the 20th century. So now Amy is going to talk about how Hanukkah is observed.
Good morning. My name is Amy Chavnik. I use she, her pronouns. So, as Robert was saying, there is probably a lot of oral history that gets passed down and oral traditions that gets passed down, and some of them are sort of related to the holiday, and some of them have developed their own folklore and maybe meta-folklore. So I'll just share some of those things and kind of give you a little insight, and also reflect on how, as a child, those stories got passed on. So, of course, the heart of the festival is lighting the menorah. And right here. Now you see it has all the candles. This would normally be on the last night. So every night you light one more candle for 8 nights. And you'll say, wait, but there's 9 candles there. So there's one candle in the middle, the shamash, and it is the helper. So you use that to light the other ones. So on the first night, you would light one candle, and you usually light them from right to left because that's how Hebrew is read. So you would light one candle on the first night, this one, and then one candle. And then the second night, this one, and then 2 candles. So if you're mathematically inclined, you would need 144 candles. So once you light the candles, then you just let them burn out naturally. And these are usually dripless, so they don't make a big mess. And when I was a kid, we also had, and I do have as an adult too, an electric menorah, because it's customary to put your menorah in the window so that it can be publicly viewed. So I don't like to put a lit candle in the, but I put an electric one in my window. And growing up, I grew up, I lived across the street from a synagogue. And if you go in my very Jewish neighborhood, not Orthodox, but if you would walk up and down my street, you would see many menorahs in the windows of people's homes. So food, that's another big thing with holidays. And again, we were celebrating this oil that lasted 8 days. So it's customary to eat food that's fried, yay, in oil. And so my house will smell like fried oil, like a McDonald's for the whole week. Because when people find out that I know how to make latkes, they want to come to my house to have them. Sorry, I'm taken for this year. So potato latkes is routinely made, and I typically always do that on the first night, and then on the last night, another fried food that I like to make, and which is more traditional that came in Israel, are sufganiyot, which are jelly donuts. So, again, I'm taken for the holiday this year. So, now here comes the parts that are kind of passed on. So you see there's other things up here, including the dreidel. So this has become associated with Hanukkah, but actually the dreidel game really had nothing to do with Hanukkah. And the stories that are told to you when you're a kid is that they weren't, the Jews weren't allowed to practice their religion, so the men would be practicing, and then if somebody came by, there's like, they just grabbed their dreidels and they were just playing dreidel. They were gambling, they weren't really studying the Torah. So that's a story that you hear. But really, the dreidel, the top, has been played by various people in various languages for many centuries. So there are 4 letters on them. Again, originates from these other cultures. There's a nun, gimel, hey, and shin. Those are the 4 letters. Nun, I don't know the German words, but it would be like none, because you play, it's a gambling game, you get none. Gimel, you get. Hey, you get half. And shin, you have to put 1 in. So because of those 4 letters, right, and that's usually how those gambling games were played, then some words were then associated with those, which was Nes Gadol Haya Sham, a great miracle happened there. So, that's where kind of the line between like really what happened, because the dreidel wasn't really part of that, the miracle of the oil lasting. So I was talking about gambling, so that brings us to the other thing. Many of you may have seen these. Trader Joe's sells them around this time of year. They're chocolate-covered coins. And because Hanukkah falls out so closely to Christmas, and actually this year it falls out, the first night is on Christmas, the 25th. Hanukkah follows the lunar calendar, so it falls out on a different 8 nights every year, and this year it's during Christmas. Now, as a kid, again, I grew up in a Jewish neighborhood. Like, there weren't a whole lot of Christmas trees and stuff like that, but I did know that my non-Jewish friends would always get gifts on the holidays, and Hanukkah was always associated with gifts. And it's probably because the irony is that we adopted some of these things, and yet the holiday is about us trying to resist that kind of assimilation. So it's kind of like, that's where the folklore comes in. So these coins, similar to, rather than get gifts, it was customary to give gelt or money. And as a kid, I didn't want money. I wanted the Susie Homemaker little thing that I can make the little, cakes in. So, and so you would get these chocolate-covered coins, right, as your gelt. And they're not very good chocolate, so, again, symbolic. I'd rather have a Ghirardelli chocolate. So I think I covered everything. So I just wanted to say that in conclusion, like many other midwinter holidays that invoke light, Hanukkah joins all those. And I do, for me, it's especially, I love the idea of lighting candles when we're in this short days. It's very dark in winter. And so it lightens the house like other holidays that embrace the light. And it is a celebration of overcoming oppression, a reminder to persevere and stand up for what's right, no matter the odds, to help create a world that works for everyone.
So we're not going to actually light the candles because, as Amy mentioned, the first night of Hanukkah doesn't start until Christmas, at sundown on Christmas Day, and that does move around relative to the Gregorian calendar because of the lunar calendar that the Jewish people use. So, but we are going to share the prayers with you. We want you to hear them, and the three of us are going to say the Hebrew, and then I can do the translation so you know what we're saying, and. Traditionally, you say 2 prayers each night. You light the candles first, and then you say the 2 prayers, and then the first night there's also an additional prayer that's said. So that's what you're going to hear. We're loud. Okay, the first prayer. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Asher Kiddishanu b'mitzvah tzav v'tzivanu lahagnik ner shel Hanukkah, which means, blessed are you, our God, ruler of the universe, who makes us holy through your commandments and commands us to light the Hanukkah lights. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam sha'asa nisim lavotenu bayamim hahem bazman hazeh. Blessed are you, our God, ruler of the universe, who performed miracles for our ancestors in their days at this season. And the prayer that's recited on the first night, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehekianu v'kiimanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. Blessed are you, our God, ruler of the universe, for giving us life, for sustaining us, and for enabling us to reach this season. So I'd like to conclude with a quote from Rabbi Jonathan Sachs, who was our first reading today. For though my faith is not yours and your faith is not mine, if we are each free to light our own flame, together we can banish some of the darkness in the world. Happy Hanukkah.
And this altar here is a representation of our Mother Earth, Mother Gaia, holding the world. And this is our Hanukkah altar over here. And this and some of the other banners were made by Reverend Victor Postolaki. How many of you know who that is? Dr. Margaret Stort's husband, ancestor on the other side. He also made these banners here. So we have some historical remembrance and recollection that we're celebrating today. So thank you, Judith, Dr. Judith, Robert, and Amy. Let's give them some love. And I'd also like to say that Linda Wyman, I just love our community, asked my permission if she could bring some Hanukkah treats to share with you. So in the social hall, there are Hanukkah treats. I'm sure they're sweets, probably like you were talking about, Amy. So let's thank Linda. So now I'm going to give you what I'm going to call a lecturette. I'm going to try to condense it. You know, that's kind of hard because I always have too much material because Spirit just, when I open up, it pours in. I had a great time working with Spirit on the incredible light of being, and that's what I'm talking about today. That's for the week, the Centers for Spiritual Living theme. Today, the qualities I'm talking about are sovereignty, or the supreme power, authority, or independence, livingness, forgiveness, and love. So remember, the theme for December is sticking the landing. As I said before, it's how you land off those balance beams. Simone, she has other names too, but y'all know who Simone is, don't you? You better know who Simone is. When she does her whip-de-doodle and lands, she sticks that landing. That means no movement, solid. When I looked it up, you know, when you're writing, you can stick the landing. When you're doing anything, you can stick the landing. And so we're talking about sticking the landing in life. Sticking the landing in how we are being and coming to this thing called life. So to be and to live the incredible light of being, the title, is to realize that light and darkness share importance equally. Some people dismiss the darkness because they don't like it. Light is kind of fun, isn't it? It's joyful, it's cheery. And when you're in the darkness, which is that womb space that was talked about, that's where that gestation happens. That's where that work happens. Sometimes we have to do something. Sometimes we have to face some sadness or some grief or something. And sometimes we don't want to do that. Or how many people love to do that? I could be projecting. But generally speaking, you know what I mean. But light and dark work together. You don't have one without the other. They're together. They both have their role. They support one another. And so we're talking about the darkness in this way with the light because of the winter solstice that Judith so beautifully talked about, where we're in the darkness. It's where the hibernation happens. It's where the leaves know and allow themselves to fall, to die. Do we allow ourselves to die to those things that are old easily? Or do we fight and resist? It's a rhetorical question. Y'all can go home and think about that. But I know sometimes when I am dying to something, I am fighting, resisting, and saying, denying. Y'all could probably name some other stuff that you do, right? Because we don't want to. It hurts. It's hard. I was talking to a loved one who was telling me they felt irritated. And it's like, but I don't know why. Have you ever felt that? I felt that. You're just angry, in a bad mood. Like, what happened? We don't know, but let ourselves flow with it. Here's what happened to me the other day. It blew my mind. I'm still thinking about it. my beloved and I have a daily practice of gratitude. We're starting early. You know, gratitude is next year, right? That we're focusing on gratitude is right now. Don't get me wrong. That's our practice. But we ask each other, what are you grateful for? I can always come to something to be grateful for. Always, always, always. That I can see you, that I can stand here, that I had clean clothes of choice. I had water to bathe in this morning. I have a car that I drove in that's comfortable with, filled with gas. I know y'all praying for me. You let me pray for you. I could go on and on and on. Family, friends, loved ones, on and on. But when I was asked, what are you grateful for? I said, I can't even deal with that. Now, you know I'm telling on myself. I do that often because I have permission to tell on myself. I want to be vulnerable with you because I want to encourage you to be vulnerable with yourself and with me. That's how we build beloved community. So imagine someone who is steeped in gratitude and abundance waking up saying, I don't have anything to be grateful for. I didn't exactly say that. But I did say that if I'm not able to come to what I'm grateful for, right? So I just let myself be, and I was like, really? But then I was easy with it. I just let myself be in that place without judgment. You know, I count on the 3 together, guilt, blame, shame. I could have easily gone into any one of those or all of them, but I didn't. You know what happened? The next day, I was full of joy. And I noticed it. It was totally different than the day before. Here's the lessons learned. If everything in life gives us something to learn about, if we let it, it has information for us. So as I look back, I had the opportunity to say to somebody, do you know that I couldn't find something to be grateful for yesterday? And somebody else, I said that to someone and they said, oh, somebody else told me that too. How many of you, any of you who are willing to raise your hand on this have felt that you have nothing to be grateful for? Or you just feel reluctant to even come to that? It's okay. That's what I'm here. That's why I'm telling you that. Sometimes we're in that dark space and we don't know why. We don't know what's going on. Just be in witness and let yourself come naturally to the gratitude. It came back. Once you know, Dr. Margaret once said, once you know, you can never not know again. So once I know gratitude, I'm going to come back to it. I just have to trust myself. So that's what I did. Last year, some of you may remember, as I said, I'm on the Centers for Spiritual Living Global Themes team. And last year was an exciting month. I got to, Miss Grady, wherever you are. And hi, live streamers. I didn't say hi to you. I am so sorry. Please forgive me. You know I love you. Miss Grady Nobles always says, we get to do something. It's all about perspective. So what I got to write on last year was light within the shadows. And you know, sometimes when we get things that we have to work on or projects or something, doesn't it work you? You know, that worked me hard. Because I didn't have to, I got to. I chose to open up into it. I got to open up into the darkness to see what was there for me. And once you open up to it, guess what happens? You usher it in, don't you? You put down your pretenses and it comes forth. And some people wouldn't want necessarily for the darkness to come forth. And I probably could have been one of those. But what I'm here to tell you, beloveds, is when you have spiritual practice and principles in your heart, and you keep on those no matter what, you can move through that darkness because darkness is your friend. Do you know we wouldn't have some of these trees and the flowers and stuff without the darkness that's in that soil? All of us came through the womb. We started out in darkness. That's where that creative force is. When I leaned into that, oh my goodness, it was so rich. Hard, but rich. And when I leaned in, well, that's what I'm always saying to you, lean in. When you lean in, your whole body goes forward. It's like, tell me more. When you ask Spirit to tell you more, it will. It'll give you information. The thing is, do you listen? And so it informed me about things about myself that I needed to know that were buried down in there that had I not asked, I wouldn't have known, and it might have continued to sabotage my good. Did you hear what I said? Act like you heard me. I'm teaching up here. I want you to take this and go use it. That's what I do. I use it and then I bring it to you. And so light within the shadows was so rich. Oh, it was so good. I just loved it because light and darkness coexist together. And winter is our deepest, darkest time of the year, as Judith said. So this is a time, though, around the holidays where, and I continue to mention it because I want people to feel welcome who are feeling depressed and sad around the holidays. Thank you for being here, if you're here. Thank you for watching and tuning in, because you know what, depression will make you not even want to turn the TV on. I don't want to watch, even though I want to watch. I don't want to. So, but when we can push through that, then there's a richness in there. So we're in this time, this deep darkness of the season, and then we have so many other things around us that are dark. Like I think of our climate situation. When have you known tsunamis warnings to be in California, or tornadoes to be in California? But recently, Dr. Judith, right? We have climate challenge right now. That's dark. Our political situation, and to even think about an administration coming in wanting to roll back rights and just, and liberties that people have can make people depressed, right? Because we work so hard on it. And then it could look like it's dismal and bleak going forward. You could just let yourself sink in it if you wanted to. But we're not here to do that, beloveds. I'm asking you to let yourself flow through it. It's like butter. If you surrender instead of resisting and keep knowing your truth, even if you don't feel it the way you usually feel it, I guarantee you'll get through it. I guarantee you'll get through it. That's what we're here to remind each other of. That's why I say call somebody if you forget. That's why Spirit dropped in the Buddy Love program. If you have a prayer partner, great. But for some people who don't, I'm trying to partner you up with somebody so you can have somebody to call when you get in those times. And now is the time, beloveds, that's most critical for you to, listen to me here, be unapologetically who you are. Some people are not going to like that. And the more I teach it, the more I study it, I teach it, I preach it. My doctoral work was on that. The more I do it and be it in the world, when it, it's obvious some people don't like that. And you know what? I'm learning to say, so what? Because if you value you and if you believe that God is whole, perfect, and complete, that's what we study in the science of mind, isn't it? Okay, and that is whole, perfect, and complete through you, then that means as you are. That doesn't mean that we're not getting better and better and better. That doesn't mean that you abuse somebody or talk wrongfully to somebody, that you might not have to adjust your ways a little bit because you're a little bit too brash, too harsh, whatever it is. But be you. Because when you're you, you're doing the universe a favor. You're blessing the universe because that's what we're here to do, or else we wouldn't be here. We have our own signature. The world needs it, so we might as well give it. So find that, and when you do that, you are the incredible light of being. When you can do that, that's what the Christ consciousness is about, at least in my opinion. And here's another thing. Don't let anybody take your power. And you know what? They can't unless you give it to them. And I'm saying that because we're in these times that I described where people are throwing up their hands. You can hear it, you can see it. Don't do it. Just don't do it. Find a way to stand up in your power and stand up in who you are. That's what sovereignty is about. Be sovereign in your space. Be powerful in your space. Look into yourself and what does that mean to you? And practice that. Don't give up. Dig deeper. Find that mustard seed, that little grain of sand, that little bitty tiny thing, even if it's a little bit. It's there to remember who you are, to recall whose you are. And that, the light of being, it doesn't say just the light of being. The talk title says the incredible light of being. That means it's magnificent, it's extraordinary, it's beyond words. Be the incredible light of being. That just sounds so wonderful to me. Miraculous light of being. When we seem like we're in our deepest, darkest despair, we can know that that light is within us no matter what. And I'm giving it away. I write the affirmations that you'll be reciting at the end. Be a flashlight in God. Be a flashlight for God. You know what that means? Turn your light on and shine it. Because the world needs that. Your brand of shining. Always. So that's why many of the holy days, it was alluded to in our presentations, practice candle lighting. It's like a candle is lit within you. I often will say in my prayers that when we go inside, we're going into that place where the candle is always lit. God's candle within you is always lit, even if you feel like it's out. It's not. It might be dim, but it's not out. And so when Judith beautifully named some of them. Hanukkah lights candles. Kwanzaa, Diwali, the Hindu festival of lights. Christmas will be candle lighting on Tuesday. Please join us, 7 o'clock, Christmas Eve candlelight service. It's a beautiful time to be together. Sacred altars. Do what you need to do to honor the Christ within you. I love these year-end holidays, when you're driving around. I know we're going over. You can stay or you can go if you want, but I encourage you to stay. A few more minutes won't hurt. So, and I have a board meeting, right? Listen to me saying that. My board members are probably saying, what? Anyway, I'm almost done, but we had special presentations today. But what I wanted to say is, when the holidays come, you drive around, you see a few lights here and there, and then they grow. Isn't that lovely? I just love that. And it feels like community to me because the neighborhoods are coming together and lights are starting to flicker on the rooftops and on the porches, on the lawns, or where have you. Colors come. It's so beautiful. This is community. It's camaraderie. This is what we get to look at. Okay. There's lots I could say, but I'm going to end in these two quotes. I like to bring you quotes. And here's one, an author that you've heard of. I know you have. Sean Ginwright. Who's heard of Sean Ginwright and the 4 Pivots? Right? Ooh, not a lot of hands. Y'all need to go check him out. The 4 Pivots. Here's what Sean says. Clarity. We're going to call clarity light, right? Clarity or light comes when we shed all the barriers, confusion, distractions, amusements, and excuses that get in the way of what we really want. But we have to let that go. And the last one comes from Howard Thurman, and then we're going to pray. The Inward Journey. How many have heard of that? Yes? That's our favorite, right? I love it. He says, to continue one's journey in the darkness with one's footsteps, guided by the illumination of remembered radiance, is to know courage of a particular kind. The courage to demand that light continue to be light, even in the surrounding darkness. Yay, Howard. So beautiful. So, beloveds, thank you for your time and attention. And now we, as we always do, we take it to prayer. Anybody up for some prayer? Okay. So, practitioners and ministers, I invite you to surround the congregation. Same for you live streamers if you're willing. And those of you who are seated, you're welcome to stand. You can sit. Open your heart. Stand up in your heart to this truth that is being spoken on your behalf, on our behalf, should you be willing, as Liza Young, our practitioner here, is bringing up the prayer box. Oh, what a joy and a blessing it is to speak the word of truth. In fact, to open up and allow the word to speak me. It's a blessing to believe and to know and to trust in the infinite wisdom and presence of Spirit. And to know that it's everywhere present. That there is not, as we so lovingly say, a spot where God is not. That it is everywhere present. It is all powerful. It is all knowing. It simply is. In its grace, in its beauty, in its majestic presence and stance, in its abundance, in its wisdom, in its clarity, in its purpose, in its light, in its joy, and its hope, that helps us through anything that we may be going through. Anything that we may be experiencing, we can always turn to this divine presence to remember and know the truth of our being. And so I bless this morning this Oakland Center for Spiritual Living and everyone in the sound of my voice, whether they are in the seats or online or listening to the recording at some time later. Blessing those who couldn't be here, knowing that they get the vibration of this prayer simply by their intention. I give thanks that we have co-created this service today that has been beautiful in acknowledgement of Hanukkah and winter solstice. And next week as we honor Kwanzaa and the year-end closing with the burning bowl. And we honor Christmas in our candlelight services on Tuesday and all the other celebrations that may be going on across the globe. We link arms with our candles lit, holding our Mother Gaia with love, with light, with restoration, with peace, with upliftment, with belief and with faith that everything really is not only going to be all right, but it's already all right, as Yolanda Adams sings. It's already all right now. We can know that we are whole, perfect, and complete right where we are. And so I bless our nonprofit partner this month, the Habitat for Humanity, East Bay, Silicon Valley, blessing them as they build homes and support people who are less fortunate than to have one, to get one. I bless all these prayer requests in this box that dear Liza is holding, knowing as we touch and agree on the divine power of truth that God is actualizing the answered prayer that each and every request is seeking right now, just as it is for the prayers on our heart. Praise God for that. And I bless our world. No matter what is going on, where it's going on, I am knowing right now and claiming in the power of this abundance and prosperity consciousness that we are holding here. Health and well-being and wholeness and ceasefire and wellness and upliftment from any illness or unemployment or those things that affect people on that human everyday level. We are knowing that whatever resources are needed are provided to uplift us all. We bless the babies, those babies that died senselessly, whether in the school shootings or whether in the midst of war. We bless them now knowing that they are cradled by the ancestors as they move to the other side, and that comfort is happening for their parents right now. And I bless our beautiful prayer list that is so full this morning of people who were requesting prayer. And we know that prayer is immediately answered. So I name and claim it before I even speak the name, that the prayer is already answered. So I know this for Corey Cooper, Orion, Vivian, Fred, Karen F., Reverend Ikea, Barbara Tompkins, George Carter, Jerry and Mary, Jack Nelson, Soren Dixon, Chris Tasahara, Alice Knudsen, Litas de Seville and Miss Lupe Capenda, Rita and Peggy, Harriet, my mother Edna, our country, the United States of America, and all countries on this earth. And I bless Roger Carstens in particular and his hostage team and all the people who are being wrongfully detained and all the countries and governments experiencing conflict, that there be safety, protection, cooperation, harmony, and love. And for all the other names that I called, I am knowing and affirming health, wholeness, well-being, divine right action, divine perfection, divine orchestration, peace, comfort, release, whatever it is, resources, whatever is needed. I am knowing that each and every beloved that I have spoken the name for has right there, right on time, because God works in time and on time in that right and perfect time, right here and right now. I know this to be the truth. And so I open the doors of this prayer, beloveds, for your voice to come in, for you to speak your own name and the names of those for whom you are praying right now in this vortex of love. Speak it out loud or say it on the privacy of your heart, but I invite you to say it out loud so that we heal and feel the vibration, that vibration of that name or that situation, that we simply lift up in the divine arms of love and law with gratitude, so much gratitude and thanksgiving, because we know it's already done. And so knowing it's done, all we can do is just release it. That's what we do right now. Send it forth into that divine activity, knowing it's activated, it is made manifest, it is blessed, and it is showered with blessings right now, right here and right now. So take a breath on that, beloved. Breathe in the completion of this prayer. Breathe in the knowingness more than you had before we started the prayer, that all is well. All is truly well, regardless of appearances. And so we just rest this word in truth and love, and we let it be. And so we close this together, and I usually do this way because some words, some phrases may have more power and impact for some than others. Certainly we can declare, and so it is. Let us say together, and so it is. And you might want to say amen. Some may want to say ashe. Some may want to say blessed be. Some may want to say hallelujah, Miss Grady. It's done. It's done. Thank you, Liza. Thank you, practitioners. Thank you, everybody. Whew. Okay, Reverend Jerry is ringing bells, bells, bells. Oh, well, thank you. Look in that abundance in action. See, didn't I tell you? Thank you so much.
We are in the spirit of giving. I'm Reverend Jerry Carter, and I use she, her pronouns. And I am a very proud member of this spiritual community as a minister and a congregant and a facilitator and whatever else I do. I love it all because I love each and every one of us. And so I'm here just to share a little bit about our annual pledge program. And thank you all to everyone who has used the pledge card. They're still in the backs of the seats for anyone who's still desiring to do a pledge. I see one back there, and I know there are so many more. This 2024 pledge program this year is not complete until the end of the year. So right now, we had 84 individuals who pledged this year. Beautiful. We have pledged $221,252. Yes, that was our pledge. Now, we've reached about 210,000 of that, and I know there's more to come, so those aren't the final figures. But what I want to share with you for 2025, our Rising Higher, Growing Deeper program, oh my gosh, we have 57 pledged cards for this 2025 year, and this isn't over yet, because of course you still have an opportunity to pledge, and live streamers, you as well. Of the 57, 13 were new to pledging this year. That's a big woo-hoo. 13 people stepped into the law of circulation, have faith and trust in spirit, and that is just beautiful. So thank you, thank you. Of the 57, 22 of us, about 40% of us, pledged more than the year before. Oh my gosh. Thank you again for stepping into that law of circulation and knowing that Spirit's guiding us. This is an abundant universe, as we say. And it is true. It truly is an abundant universe. So the pledges this year right now are at 162,161. That's to date. The year's not over, and next year, this 2025 year is yet to come, so there's plenty of time to continue pledging. But what I do want to say, that number sounds low compared to right now, but it's really not. Because of the 27 who have not yet pledged yet, if we want to match that 84 for this year, and I know we're going to go above and beyond it because I'm very optimistic and very positive, and I know how Spirit works. So those 27 people aren't in this mix, which means that their pledges for this year more than likely will roll over into 2025, and they too have an opportunity to increase their pledge as well. So I would like to say that if of the 27 who have not yet pledged, if 100% of them pledge this year, we will have exceeded our 2024 pledging by nearly $15,000. That's if all of them pledge. And we know we'll have new pledgers as well, so it will go above and beyond that, I believe. Let's see, I think that's all I'm gonna say because we really could use this boost, and I know that it is very critical to running this beautiful spiritual center, this spiritual home of ours. So I'm just trusting and knowing that we are all open to the universe saying yes to us and to abundantly blessing us each step of the way. And in 2025, you can always up your pledge as the year goes on with all those wonderful windfalls that you've opened yourself up to as a pledger. So the one thing I want to share too is not only do we have Hanukkah goodies in the social hall, we also have our Rising Higher, Growing Deeper 2025 Pledge Campaign celebration cake. So there's cake, okay. So please join us after the service. And in the meantime, it's our conscious giving time. Oh, we did have the numbers up there. Thank you, Sylvia. I didn't even realize that. You are awesome. Sylvia's a brand new member of our AV team and doing an awesome job. Thank you. So I didn't realize it, but you got to see the stats. That's great. Now we have our conscious giving, and we have a plethora of ways to give. Go to our website. There's Zelle to give, text to give to give, money in the basket to give. But let's hold our pledge card to our hearts now and with zest say our conscious giving affirmation. The joy of giving within me activates the grace of receiving within me, and so it is. And our musicians are coming back, another beautiful blessing in our lives, and you may come up and share your gift.
Mommies and daddies always believe that there are special indeed, and you could grow up to be anything. But who would imagine a king, a shepherd or teacher is what you could be, or maybe a fisherman out on the sea, or maybe a carpenter building things. But who would imagine a king? It was so clear when the wise men arrived and the angels were singing your name, that the world would be different, 'cause you are alive. That's what heaven stood still to proclaim. One day an angel said quietly that soon he would bring something special to me, and of all the wonderful gifts he could bring, who would imagine? Who could imagine? Who would imagine a king?
Okay. It's time to close it out, bring it home, and we do that with gratitude and giving thanks all the time. And particularly, let's start with Fierce Deb and Terry Stanley. Whoop! And to Reverend Dr. Sunshine Michelle Coleman. Woo, girl! Nicely done, nicely done. And to everyone who's contributed to this service today. Hundreds of us, honestly. I mean, it takes a village to create this one beautiful moment for us all, and I give thanks for it. And if you're a newcomer and you haven't received your packet, you can pick one up on the way out. In the back room back there, behind that divider, there's something called a prayer room. And we have practitioners who are standing by, ready to give you a 3-minute miracle. Make use of us. Please do, right? So it's been a beautiful morning. I give thanks for everything. I'm so grateful for all who have come together to make it possible for us to acknowledge the light and to be the light and to light our candles for each other. Excuse me. So please, would you mind standing and let's do our closing affirmation together. And again, let's say this as if we really mean it. Okay. The light of God illuminates my pathway from within. I radiate the qualities of Spirit's love from the core of my being. I allow myself to be a flashlight for the divine, shining truth wherever I go and in whatever I do, and so it is. All right.
All right, and you can stay standing for our closing congregational song. We're going to do a shortened version, so we're going to do it a couple of times through, and then the first verse, chorus, however you would like to refer to it, and then we'll be out. We will wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Good tidings we bring to you and your kin. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New